Oh. Well, hello and welcome to this Tuesday's Movie News. I am John, and I am here to speak about movie news. My boom arm has given me some amount of jip here. I cannot get comfortable. And look at this mic as well. What a start we have here, man. I'm going to be speaking about Zack Snyder and his much infamous, if you like, Justice League Snyder Cut. Whether it should be hitting a theatre near you anytime soon, and what is really been fueling this sort of intrigue over whether this movie should be hitting a theatre is the man himself coming out and speaking about said Snyder Cut movie. I'm going to delve right into it. I'm not mucking around here. Here you can see Snyder has revealed that his up-and-coming Justice League take has scored a 10-minute intermission for theatrical release, and that's why I'm suggesting that this movie may very well be coming to a theatre near you very, very soon indeed, because they're not putting this in for no reason. And this is the man's words. He has been speaking to the 1 Minute Men, and whatever the hell that is, 1 Minute Men I think it is. And he had this to say, where is it? There, it's there, I do believe. And if the movie's also to notice, there's more quotes here. I'm going to bring it up on my iPad because my camera is in front of me and I cannot see a thing here. So let's have a little read at what Zack has had to say. He's had this to say. He says, and I quote, "It's 4 hours worth of the picture, and with the credits, I think it goes for over 4 hours by a few minutes because of titles, because a lot of people worked on the movie." Of course it did, Zack. None less than you, because you have worked blood, sweat and tears to make this vision a reality. To thank the group of fans on social media throughout the world who have worked tirelessly to help make this vision be a thing. So they all deserve immense credit, and you no less, Zack. And he's had this to say as well: and if the movie is able to be viewed in the cinema, we have a 10-minute intermission, which is built into the movie, and it has a beautiful suite of music. Yes, that's very intriguing. I do like me a sort of double matinee release. And whilst this isn't a double matinee release, this is one singular project, it's almost like a double matinee release, because as most people who go and watch movies will be aware of, it's not often you get a 4-hour movie release, 9 times out of 10. And I'm going to just double check something here, because I've not really worked on the shot. I just make sure it was all in order there, because it's kind of cut off from my other monitor. I set it up strangely for these shows. If you've been to a theatre or get right back into it, most people will not have been to see a 4-hour movie unless they're maybe 80 years old or something, and they went to see some of those old classic golden oldies which went on forever and ever. Das Boot, I think, was like 6 hours. It's a rare thing indeed. So this is almost like a double matinee release. You have 2 hours, you have your intermission, then you go hardcore for another 2 hours. I'd love to see this. As someone who comes from the United Kingdom, Scotland, more centric if you like, we are not going to be able to watch this movie on HBO Max. We do not have access to that streaming service, so it's all up in arms just now as to whether we will be getting any form of this movie outside of a theatre. How will we get to consume it? Will it be on Sky? Will it be on Amazon Prime after a set amount of time? Will there be a period of exclusivity to HBO Max? Then they will do deals in other markets that ain't the United States of America. We do not know right now. For all we know, it's a theatre only set up over here. It's certainly played out similar to that with Wonder Woman 1984. I do believe it was planned to come out in a theatres. And to be honest with you, I'm still not even sure if Wonder Woman 1984 is on a streaming service over here. I'm actually going to have to double check that very briefly as I do it. UK streaming, I'll search it and make sure I don't put my foot in it. How do we watch Wonder Woman 1984, I'm asking, a month after it hit the actual, I think it was 2 months after it hit HBO Max in the United States? I'm still not got a clue. It's on premium VOD platforms for home streaming now. There you go. I'm not even going to lie, I watched this when it came out over in the States. I watched it dodgily. I didn't really give a shit about it. I was just fed up hearing about this movie. I had to see it, and it was utterly shite, and it had wasted my time. It may be a similar setup now for Zack Snyder's Justice League. It may be that there will be a period of exclusivity for the States, for the HBO Max streaming release. Then we get it hitting premium VOD in other markets. I personally, though, want to see this movie coming out in the theatres. This is one that I'm not bored with, one that I do want to consume on the biggest screen possible, and I pray that it happens. Look, man, the fact we're even discussing this is incredible, because a year, a half, 2 years, 3 years ago, this would have been pie in the sky. Us getting a reworked version of the Justice League, Zack Snyder coming back to complete it. It would have been pie in the sky. We had the Joss Whedon version. The DCEU, as we knew, it was done and dusted. It was a disaster. It had fallen into ignominy. We had Wonder Woman 1984, Aquaman and Shazam. They kind of perked it up a bit. And we went off into this fractious sort of new horizon for the DC movies that wasn't an expanded universe. Now though, it looks as though Zack's back, and that could mean two things. It could mean that they see some goodness within his story, within his alternate script, within this 4-hour setup for a new potential soft reboot of the DCEU. It could be that's why we get it in the theatres, that they are making this officially canon. I see a comment there, answer, yes, I hope so. I really want to see it in the theatres. The trailer has got me very excited. I just want to see this nightmare sequence in the theatres alone, man, to see Jared Leto's Joker having his little moment with Batfleck. I just cannot wait to see it, man. And it would lose something tremendously if you were in the house sitting watching that on a TV. It'd just be shit, man. Give me a theatre release. Things are looking up here for COVID. It looks like we will maybe get into a theatre come early summertime. So hold it off, man. Don't do the premium VOD shit over here. Give us a theatrical release. Lord knows they're getting it over in the States anyway, man. Those lucky shits have still got theatres open, depending on where they're from. And they're getting the HBO Max stuff and also the theatre release. So, in conclusion, yes, I want to see this movie hitting the theatres. I think it should get a theatrical release. I think it would be great for Zack Snyder. I think it would be great for Warner Brothers and DC. It would give them the opportunity to market this movie as the new canon. And what better way to do that than housing it in a theatre and letting many eyeballs get in and watch it, pumping the money in, and then we can go off with hopefully Joker, Jared Leto, hopefully with Ben Affleck as a second Batman, and just do some crazy shit, man. I'm looking forward to DC getting their act together finally, man. It's long overdue. But look, I digress, man. I'm going to move on, continue speaking about the Snyder Cut, because I can't speak. I'm so excited, man, that I'm getting tongue twisted here, man. So let's try that again. I seen another article about the Snyder Cut, and it was about a very different sort of Snyder Cut to what we're now going to be consuming in the next month or so. The studio initially wanted to release this movie incomplete, as it was shot on the set sneakily by Snyder himself, and just put it out there and be done with it. They didn't want to spend money on this movie, given the visual effects, bringing the visual effects to life. They just wanted it out, man. And this is what, I think it's actually one of the producers, it's Deborah Snyder, it's actually Deborah Snyder herself. She said this to say, man, and I'm going to read it off my iPad again because I am obscured with my camera. I need to do something with that. It's utterly shit. I can't read the monitor, man. It's rubbish. But this is what she's had to say. She was speaking on the Lightcast podcast, and she had a couple of little quotes. She says, when they approached us, we had to come up with an idea of what it was, because originally the studio was like, you can just put the cut out just the way it is. She went on to say, Zack said this, no, it's like a mishmash. I always say mishmash, not mosh, but hey ho, horses for courses. The music we can't use. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it the right way, or it's not going to be the right way. And that was it, in a sense. And she's went down to say this again. There's another quote. I think this is her anyway. I can't get my mouse to work, man. What is going on here? But to figure out in secret, because we didn't know if it was going to be real, we just figured out the cost of the visual effects. We were going to do this kind of on our own, so we could put together a presentation that we could go to the studio with. And a big part of the presentation was the fans and what that represented to them. I wish it had taken them less time, because then we wouldn't be so under the gun to get it done. It still took them months to kind of figure it out. Well, you shouldn't have been under the gun to get it done, Deborah, because no one is really... It's not something that's important for the future, as we know it just now, the DCEU. We don't think that this is going to be a reboot. I'm hoping it's going to be a reboot for the DCEU. This will spark off a new era of storytelling with Zack at the helm. But as we know just now, it isn't. This is just a little throw him the bone, let him finish his vision, shut up the fans on social media. So there shouldn't have been any real pressure to get this done. There shouldn't have been deadlines. It's hitting HBO Max. I understand they're trying to grow that streaming service out. There shouldn't have been any pressure. But look, man, I find this very interesting, because the likes of John Campea on YouTube a couple of years ago were putting forward that idea of a a sort of, I can't recall what they were calling it. I want to say a mechanical cut, but it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was like a bare bones version of this movie. They were putting forth that notion that the studio would appease Zack, they would appease the fan base by just putting out the movie as it was, green screen, sort of bolts and nuts and all. And I wasn't for that. I'm firmly with Zack Snyder. If you're going to do something, you do it right. You get it out there. And the way that it had been consumed as a finished product for the theatres, like Whedon's bastardised version, you get it out there, fully completed, and then you let people experience it. They can make their minds up, and then, as I keep saying, man, it puts the studio in a position, if they like the response, and by all accounts they're enjoying the buzz this movie's getting, they're enjoying the buzz that Jared Leto's Joker's getting, it puts them in the position where, if it's a real success, it eclipses Joss Whedon's version, well, we can move forward with that. That's the canon. And the likes of Ben Affleck are in position again to play the character. Jared's back in the good books, he can play the character. So this was wrong from the get-go. I would not have wanted to have seen this bolts and nuts stripped back version. It would have been interesting, as I'm going to get into later in the show. Marvel are doing a behind the scenes thing for their TV shows and movies. It's going to be hitting Disney Plus, a TV series, and it's something that's interesting to see as a fly in the wall, how they put these things together, how the process of making big blockbuster movies sort of ticks along. That is interesting to watch from a documentary perspective, but not as a complete movie. It'd be shit, 4 hours of them just walking around in green screens and shit like that. Crap, don't want to see it. And I'm glad Zack put his foot down. He still had some semblance of authority, and they greenlit it, man, and they greenlit it the way it was supposed to have been consumed. But look, let's move on, man, to a little bald-headed fool, some would say, Rian Johnson. Ryan's, he's sort of greenlit Trilogy from before the release of The Last Jedi has been up in the air for a good 2-3 years now. Is it happening? Is it not happening? We have a new head of Disney. Of course, Bob Chapek. Bob Iger is gone now. We still have Alan Horn there. It's up in the air whether Kathleen Kennedy will still be president of Lucasfilm in the next year or so. I think Favreau's been positioned. I think him and Filoni will be the heir apparent to Kennedy. They should have been the people in charge in the first place. They have actual knowledge of Star Wars. They are fans. And they're just good filmmakers. And of course Kennedy was a glorified sort of producer. She worked with her husband. What was he called again? Frank something. She was the wrong choice from the get-go for me. And what I'm really getting at is, it was up in the air whether Rian Johnson would get his trilogy. And I think it's even more up in the air now. But look, this guy's been out speaking. The most divisive man in filmmaking history. He's been out speaking. He's been speaking to Saraya Wilson. I think that's Saraya. I'm just going to call her Sarah. I think it's a kind of fucked up way of saying Sarah. So we'll go with Sarah instead of Saraya. We'll not overcomplicate it. And she's had this to say on Twitter. I'm just going to post this now because I can see that I'm going to get a lot of requests. Yes, Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy is still on. No dates or timelines because he has other projects going on. But it's happening. That's all I know about it. Now there you can see she was having a little FaceTime session or Zoom session with Rian. So there we have it. I've screwed it. There we have it. Rian's trilogy is apparently still in the greenlit stage. It's in the production purgatory like Channing Tatum's Gambit movie. Apparently it's still happening. I don't know what to make about that. Personally, I've said it time and again, Rian is a fantastic filmmaker. Anyone that watched Knives Out will know that. Anyone that watched Brick and Looper will know that. Anyone that watched elements of The Last Jedi will understand what this little bald-headed magician can bring to the table. But the other elements of The Last Jedi will also highlight what he brings to the table, and that's divisiveness. This guy's an independent filmmaker. And he's admitted himself he'd rather 50% hate his movie, 50% love it, than everyone merely like it. And I don't think that's a guy who's belonging in the Star Wars franchise, because the franchise itself is like the Marvel franchise. It's a multi-demographic experience. Disney want to tick all of the boxes. They want to bring in the old fans, the hardcore fans, casual fans, 80-year-olds that don't even go and see movies. They want them watching these movies. This guy's divisive. So whilst he's an amazing filmmaker and he absolutely can make a good Star Wars movie if it's not got 40 years of legacy weighing down on it, is he a guy the fan base is going to connect with after Last Jedi? Is that going to heal the fractures in the fan base? Will his movies make money? Will it be a financially sane decision to greenlight and continue on with that trilogy, because I don't think it will be. I think his movies will struggle to hit 700 million in a post-COVID society, whatever the hell that's going to be like anyway. This guy's too divisive. I don't want him to get Star Wars movies, even though I like him as a filmmaker, and I hated The Last Jedi. I don't want this guy to get a Star Wars trilogy, so hopefully this is bullshit, and this guy's living in a little fantasy land. Hopefully he just continues making movies like Knives Out, man. We're getting the Daniel Craig Benoit Blanc sequel. I want to see that. I don't want to see the guy's Star Wars trilogy. I want new filmmakers to get a shot at it. And we move on from that god-awful experience it was The Last Jedi. But look, time will tell. He seems adamant it's happening. Hopefully Kathleen Kennedy leaves sort of stage right, if that's the saying. I don't know. I'm not an actor. Hopefully Favreau and Filoni come in. They put their foot down and tell the little bald-headed shit, the magician, whatever you want to call him, to get out. And look, I say that as a guy who's equally bald-headed. I've got even less hair than Ryan. Or maybe I've got the same and I'm just not trying to cover it up. I don't know. Time will tell, man. But look, let's move on, man, from Star Wars. When I think of Star Wars now, I think of TV. I don't even want Star Wars movies now. I just want more TV. I want more Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, Cassian Andor. I want more TV shows. That's the future for Star Wars now. TV, not movies. Give it a 10-year break before you go into another movie, man. And don't have Rian Johnson direct the next one or it'll be dead forever. But look, let's move on, man. As I did say, James Gunn can't wait to see the Batman. This guy's been out speaking about his most anticipated DC project. I cannot speak tonight. I don't know what's going on. And yes, he's picked Matt Reeves, the Batman. And that's an easy choice, really. Because I think that's just about everybody's most anticipated next DC project. Unless you're a big Dwayne Johnson fan and you maybe know the back canon to Black Adam or something, then it's clear as day. Matt Reeves' Batman is the project coming up, which is just creating the most buzz, the most genuine prospect for good filmmaking, man, for good storytelling. We're going to get the likes of Penguin. We could have William Dafoe or maybe some other form of a Joker coming in at some point in that trilogy. We've got a young, vibrant Robert Pattinson. We've got a young, vibrant Zazie Beetz. Is it Zazie Beetz, man? I always screw it up. Or is it Zoe Kravitz? It's Zoe Kravitz, it's in it. We've got a young, vibrant cast, man, and potential is there for some pretty sexual filmmaking, let's be honest. And that's probably the wrong word to use, but I'm using it anyway. This is what he's had to say on Twitter. There's no sexualness there, but you know what I mean. It's going to be good filmmaking. He responded to someone on Instagram. He said, Matt Reeves, the Batman, is your most anticipated upcoming DC movie. Is there something specific that made it your most anticipated? It's the Batman. It doesn't need to be specific. It's the Batman. It's Robert Pattinson. We've got Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Why does it have to be specific? We've got a guy in charge who knows the canon, who's flinging you down on the table here the original comic for the Batman. This guy's a fan. He understands the content of the comics and he's given us a good story. That's all you need to know. But this is what not Matt Reeves, this is what James Gunn's had to say in response. Yes, it's one of, was it the first tweet? Thanks, no hold bars. No, it wasn't. I don't know what the no hold bars thing's sort of addressing, but he's had this to say. Yes, Matt Reeves LA is one of a handful of directors whose artistry can be seen in every film he's directed, no matter how big. His personal voice and his humanity have never been drowned out by commercial or corporate pressures. And I like that. That's a great answer. He also had this to say, and I don't know if this has anything to do, man. I don't think it has got anything to do with the Batman. Thanks, no hold barred means I wasn't constrained by the formulas of most tentpole films or budget or rating. Yes, sometimes these constraints can be a help, so I was committed to first and foremost telling a tight story. No, that's nothing to do with the Batman. So let's move on from James. Find it interesting when a fellow filmmaker of the standing of James Gunn acknowledges what's on the table here from a director like Matt Reeves, what he's bringing as a person to the story, what he's bringing to the set for the actors, the relationship. You can see the passion that he's exuding. You can see how it's rubbing off in other actors, the likes of Jeffrey Wright, going in and studying the backstory of the golden era of the Batman. That's all passion. That's excitement. We heard another actor on the set describe the vibe as a Pixies concert. When you bring that energy, that enthusiasm, that passion, it rubs off in the other actors, and you're going to get a really good movie, an enjoyable experience for the actors, the fans of the film, everyone, directors at the studio. So it's nice to see James Gunn acknowledging the brilliance of Matt Reeves. It's nice to see a fellow director admitting that some specific movie coming out shortly is his favourite. He's not just sitting in the fence and giving beige shit answers and saying, well, I'm excited for all of them. He's putting his cards down the table and he's saying the Batman. And I completely agree, as I did say, I cannot wait to see the Batman. I cannot wait to see this fresh take on the character, this more detective side, less brute force. We're going to see Paul Dano. It's just, cannot wait for this movie, man. I cannot stress enough. And it was shot 20 minutes along the road from me, some of this movie. It was shot in Glasgow. So getting to pick out the classic Necropolis in Glasgow and see where that fits into the movie, that's another reason to be excited. That's why I love Sam Mendes' 1917. It was shot in Glasgow. There's many other movies. World War Z, Brad Pitt. I could go on forever. So I agree with James. I'm excited for this movie too. It's my most anticipated DC movie. And I cannot wait to see James' Suicide Squad as well. But let's move on, man, to this topic. I mean, this is a filler topic, really. We've got some, I'm going to say it, ridiculous petition for Johnny Depp to return as Jack Sparrow. I think they had to get 1 million signatures or something. They're approaching the millionth signature, if that's even a word, the millionth, the 1 million mark, they're approaching it. They're asking them to reboot it, to cancel the reboot or do some shit or what to bring Johnny Depp back, that's it, yada yada. I think it's 500,000 and they're at 475,000. And yeah, they're suggesting here that it's needing its mark. Will it have any sway on Disney? Will they look to bring back the controversial figure that is Johnny Depp? Well, no, they won't. I'll kill it. I'll hit it stone dead in the head, man. It was not going to happen. Johnny Depp ain't going to be back as Jack Sparrow. Not for the next 10 years. Is he going to have another major movie in Hollywood? This guy's dirty. Whether you like it or not, I don't. I think Amber Turd is the wrong one in that setup. I think she should be cancelled and booted out of Hollywood. The abusive shit that she is. But Johnny's dirty goods now. Warner Brothers have parted way with him. They had to pay him off. Disney done it beforehand. And I just don't even want to see Jack Sparrow. I don't want to see a Pirates of the Caribbean movie again. It's done. It's had its day. I don't want to see Margot Robbie in it. I don't want to see an all-female ensemble version of it. That I'm aware of, there was no female pirates back in the day, so that makes no sense to me. It was a very masculine profession. So I don't want to see Jack Sparrow back. I don't want to see Pirates of the Caribbean back. It's a dead franchise. It progressively shiter as time went on. And even if I did, Johnny Depp ain't going to come back. Disney are a clean cut sort of contradiction. They've got a deeply controversial guy that founded them, Walt Disney. Bit of a fascist by all accounts, allegedly. Say that so I don't get done. Allegedly fascist. Bit of a wronging. He's got his cryogenic head frozen somewhere. And at the same time, they cast judgment on people who have done lesser things than certain other employees, ex-employees that were part of the Disney machine back in the day. So they're not going to bring him back, man. They've got that image, that clean-cut family image, and they don't want an alleged abuser having a role in any of their movies, and that's wrong to me. And I hope Johnny wins that libel lawsuit over in the States and just unleashes utter chaos on everyone. Third, first and foremost. But look, it's not going to happen, and I'm going to move on to the final topic, and I've screwed it. Nope, there we go. Final topic. It's all about Marvel. It's all about Marvel making and assembled the making of TV show. It's going to hit Disney Plus. It's starting with WandaVision. I'm going to bring it up. It's coming from my favourite website on the planet. You cannot fit an article into that little box there on Streamlabs using this god-awful shit stain of a website. But in short, they're saying Marvel confirms making of series on Disney Plus, starting with WandaVision, and in sort of conclusion, in short, because I'm not lingering on this abomination much longer. It's in a sense going to be a fly in the wall experience, documenting how these TV shows are going to be made. I said movies because they're suggesting the likes of Black Widow may have their very own hour-long experiences hitting Disney Plus when or if that movie comes out. So this is all very interesting as someone who is a big fan of film in general and how they put these things together, who's a big fan of watching the likes of the ILM specials and Star Wars Celebration, how they animate the CGI, how they create all these little props and stuff like that. It's deeply fascinating to me to see that they are going to be doing this on Disney Plus. And again, it's just more content for Disney Plus, because Lord knows we need it. We are getting all of the R-rated goodness coming down shortly. I don't know when it's hitting. We're getting lots of Indian content, we're getting more TV shows, be it Marvel, Star Wars, so I'm extremely excited to see more. And listen, some of the most watched content for me on Disney Plus has been the National Geographic stuff. That's the stuff I've really enjoyed. Great question about if the Snyder Cut should go to theatres. May I use this question on our We Got Your Mail segment and tell my audience it comes from your channel? Absolutely. Absolutely, T3. Chris, isn't it? Absolutely, man. You can use that question. I think it should. I think it absolutely should be hitting theatres. This is a sort of, I don't want to say it's a, I was about to say a zeitgeist experience. It isn't. But this is a big pop cultural moment. The reworking of what should have been one of the greatest movies ever put to cinema, let's be honest. The Justice League is one of the great ensemble adventures. It's akin to an Avengers movie. So it should have been great. Joss Whedon came in. He made an absolute balls of it. It was a bastardised Frankenstein's monster. So if Zack can come in and rework this and make magic with it, it absolutely deserves to be in the theatres. So you can ask that question. You've got my answer. I think it should be in the theatres. I think it will be in the theatres over here as well. We don't have HBO Max, so theatres hopefully open up soon. We'll get this COVID shit behind us and we can go and rejoice in a decent Justice League story. But look, man, I'm excited for this Marvel thing as well, man. I hope we get more of these. I love behind the scenes making of documentaries. Just getting a look at, I mean, we got it with The Mandalorian as well. Just getting a look at how this wacky WandaVision show has been put together. It's been absolutely amazing watching this. Bettany and Olsen doing their thing. Incidentally, Olsen's just turned 32. I feel her pain. I turned 32 last week, so that's another little side thing, man. I feel her pain. She's getting old now, and so am I. But look, that's got nothing to do with that, man. I'm going to round the show up. The show is over by passing the questions over to you. Do you think we should get a theatrical release of the Snyder Cut? Is that something you think is there? There's a willpower from the sort of, is that even the right word? I don't think it is. Is there a will for this? Can't think of a better word. It's very late here. Do people want to see it in the theatres, in a sense? Is it something you want to see? What do you make about the other topics I touched upon? I'm not going to go through them all. Did you want to see a sort of stripped back version of a Snyder Cut? Is that something that would have interested you? You can comment on any of the other topics I've touched upon on the show tonight. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Hit the follow button on Twitch if you're enjoying content like this and want to see more of it in the future. And if you do, that's what you'll get. You will duly get more content, guys. But look, I'll be back tomorrow round about the same time with Stephen for more movie news content. And thanks for the comments as well from Twitch and YouTube. Much appreciated. But look, guys, until then, bye-bye. There's another comment, 2 seconds. Quickly read that, man, before I go. Did you see the crazy rumour that Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz get caught having sex in the Batmobile? And say, I didn't see that rumour. I don't believe that. Robert's, is he not with a partner just now, man? I don't know if he'd do that. Maybe he would. Well, that sounds wild. A collab has to happen soon. Yeah, we'll look into that, man. We'll definitely have to do something because we've got similar ideas and film and stuff like that. So we need to do something. We'll get that worked out. But look, man, I've not heard about that rumour, but it sounds very interesting. But look, bye. Until tomorrow, bye, guys. Bye-bye. We can, but I hope it's true.